This is Larry Culpepper. I love college football so much that I went ahead and came up with the idea of the playoff for it. And the only way I can get ready for each and every Saturday of college football is by listening to the Championship Drive podcast.
Greg Cote is in with us today.
Hello.
Did his dying affect you?
Leonard Cohen?
Yeah, this is of your time.
You know what? I was never a huge fan of his, to be honest. The one iconic song of his, Hallelujah, is one of my all-time favorites, and I listen to that whenever I can. Certainly, I have it on a couple of holiday lists of mine. So it impacted me in a little bit, but not like some of the other recent passings we've had, like David Bowie impacted.
What do these holiday lists look like? Do you have a holiday list of music?
Yeah, playlist.
What does that look like? What else is on there? Like James Brown's Funky Christmas? What else is
There's
on
a lot of stuff. Step Into Christmas by Elton John.
Nice.
Keb Mo has an interesting holiday list of music as well.
Do you have any young people on that list of music? Like who would be the youngest person singing? Like Bruce Springsteen would be the youngest person singing?
Probably Springsteen.
Late 60s.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah. There's not a lot of young. Holiday music is you want old holiday music. I want Tony Bennett singing. Has
someone done anything in the way of modern holiday music? I think it's all the holiday music is fairly old, right?
No, that can't be right. That simply can't be right. That no young people are respecting the idea of Christmas music. That can't be right.
Right? No, there's none.
What do you mean there's none?
I don't think there's any, Dan. I don't think there's been any advancements in holiday music.
Hold on, Guillermo, put it on the poll before we there hasn't been any advancements in holiday music. At Batard Show, well, there are two questions, right? Because does holiday music make you happy or sad? Because I think a lot of people will answer that it does not make them happy. I think you'd be surprised by the number of people who say that holiday music is not...
Oh, but there's upbeat holiday music.
No, almost all of it's upbeat.
Right.
But that's not what I'm talking about. A lot of people are made sad by the holidays, and therefore sad music.
Well, there's a lot of holiday music that lyrically is meant to be uplifting, but musically is very sad, like the classic Holy Night.
Well, Amazing Grace is not a holiday song, but it's kind of like that. If you listen to Amazing Grace right now walking around, you're fine. You're like, that's a cool song. You listen to that at a funeral, you're gonna be heartbroken at a funeral. Yeah. So, holiday music, happy or sad, and are young artists making new holiday music? Those are the two poll questions.
Okay, are you asking that? Are they making new holiday tracks that people can sing at holidays? Because like big pop acts, like Justin Bieber puts out a holiday album because
wait a minute,
I heard that and it was dreadful.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a single song that you would put on.
Awful.
You would not put any song from that album on in your house during the holidays, Mike. You would not, and certainly no one is going door to door and singing a Justin Bieber tune.
But what you're being asked is, are you asking whether any young artists are singing The Little Drummer Boy? Or are you asking whether any young artists are making new holiday songs with new lyrics and new rhythms?
New holiday songs, new lyrics, new rhythms, all that. I don't think there's, I know Bieber's album. I'm aware of it. It was dreadful. Mm-hmm. Dreadful.
Give me Chuck Berry singing Run, Run, Rudolph.
Bingo.
That's new holiday music because it's not a traditional holiday song. It's a song written in the 50s or 60s. That makes it new.
I don't know how much. I mean, I don't know what age Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer were created, but I'm guessing that none of these people that you're referencing who are doing the holiday music were making new holiday music. I mean, Chuck Berry was, but I'm guessing that all these people that you're Elton John and...
Well, Step Into Christmas is a song that he wrote. I mean, and that's become a very popular December standard. But I like it when new music references traditional music, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a standard. Well, Run, Run, Rudolph takes that and moves it forward. So it's a beautiful thing.
It's a spinoff. It's a spinoff of Rudolph.
It is.
The Rudolph Empire.
Right. And if you listen to you know that song, Run, Run, Rudolph?
No.
If you listen to it once, it will be in your head for eternity, and you'll never stop thinking about it.
I think that's probably hyperbole, but okay, Mike, what do you have there?
Well, I was just laughing because I forgot all about James Brown's Funky Christmas. But yeah, CeeLo's made a holiday album.
You should have seen how happy Roy was by just the reference to James Brown's Funky Christmas. It brought a sweeping smile across his face.
Santa Claus Goes Straight to the Ghetto, also an excellent Christmas song.
Who sang that?
James Brown.
James Brown.
Oh, James Brown?
Yeah.
Papa got a brand new bag full of toys.
Oh,
Really? Roy
Wow.
roaring with laughter.
I thought for sure he
Mike
was getting
hits him with
Hakeem.
the loser game show sound.
It's worse when the loser game show sound is delayed. It's like there was a brief committee meeting and somebody decided, nah, that sucked.
It's always delayed.
Papa got a brand new bag of toys.
It's unbelievable, man. Like, we try to get him started on the rhythms
Yep.
of the show. We wanted you to go into a battle off with the loser game show sound. All of us were staring at you. And what were you doing? Swilling mightily from a Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah,
cup.
I need more.
All of us, everybody in both rooms was just staring at you, wanting
To do what?
More.
What was I supposed to
You
do?
still don't understand it when I just explained it?
I don't know what you wanted.
I actually put my hand up. I was prodding you.
Yeah, and I
was
didn't
trying-
know what you meant by that. I thought you were swatting a fly.
We wanted you to go back and forth with the loser game show sound where you kept singing either that lyric or other lyrics. Why can everyone else on this show communicate with no language and you're the only one? You are Phil Jackson, doddering old person.
I'm dumb. That's why.
I didn't say that. That's not true. You're not dumb.
You're not dumb, Greg. You're not dumb, Greg. You just don't have. We still don't have a great chemistry,
Right.
which is weird because we've been doing this for a very long time.
That's the
That's the frustrating part.
But now he's feeling ganged up on.
No. It's just
Chemistry.
there were some bright spots a couple weeks ago. You know, the Eisner stuff.
Eisner.
Yeah, and then I would go back with the old Eisner clip, and we had a little battle.
You remember how that was, though? Do you remember how that went? Where it was you going Eisner, and then he was...
My Eisner was better than Neil Rogers' Eisner.
Right. But that's what we were trying to recreate there, where you... Because it sounded so funny to have you sing a Christmas song.
Right. Papa got a brand new bag of toys.
You still don't understand.
Papa got a brand new bag of toys.
Yes. More of that.
We're getting there.
Papa got a brand new bag of toys.
And then we swilling... Stop swilling coffee!
I can't think of another lyric from Papa Got a Brand New Bag. That's the only lyric from that song I know is the
Let's
title.
deconstruct the show instead.
Right.
What is happening that all of us are looking at you trying to get to an organic moment where we don't have to explain that to you, where it's just you back and forth taunting the loser game show sound. And instead of sort of being in the show and carrying the show while all of us are looking for you to do it, you're throwing your head back to drink coffee in a way that totally ignores the show.
Yeah.
And you couldn't speak during.
No doubt.
Okay, I guess we're not going to.
No, we're not.
I guess
Is
we're
that
not.
his tell, by the way, when he's satisfied with something he said or done, which he shouldn't be in this particular case, but is it drinking coffee?
Yeah. No, that's there's some truth to that. It's a self-congratulatory swill is what it is. I wish I had more. I'm running out.
Eisner?
Eisner.
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 That one you've got.
Yeah, that one. It took a little while to train you, but that one you love doing. Look at how happy you are.
Yeah.
If you had more coffee here right now, you'd be swilling it in a self-congratulatory fashion.
Yeah, I'm like a seal. You know, it takes a while to train me, but eventually I will slap my fins on cue.
What is the animal that's untrainable? Because I would say that that's what you're like.
I don't know. That's a good question for McGill.
Untrainable animals.
Is there such a thing?
I would
I'm
think
sure
there is.
yes.
What do you guys make of Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson had some comments about Pat Riley that we'll read to you in a second. But what do you guys make of Phil Jackson saying of LeBron James that Eric Spoelstra was running into situations where the team wanted to stay overnight in Cleveland and Pat Riley would have to step in and say that you can't do that. And Phil Jackson referred to LeBron's crew as a posse. He and his posse wanted to stay in Cleveland, and Maverick Carter objected to Phil Jackson's phrasing there. What did you make of that back and forth? Because posse tends to be racially loaded. I
didn't know that, and I'm being very honest. My reaction was Maverick Carter is bending over backward to be offended. I think of posse as sort of a neutral word that means, a group of guys you hang out with. I don't think of it, honestly, in racial terms.
But up to Maverick as to whether or not he's going to be offended, right? Not up to us.
Right.
No, but if he deems it offensive, who are we to question?
No, we can object. We can object to him deeming it offensive. We can object and say that he is being too sensitive, but we are also not afflicted party. We are also not the group of people who would object to the dismissal of LeBron's power brokers who are worth millions and millions of dollars being dismissed as a posse. I can understand. Maverick Carter, I think Maverick Carter is less offended by the racial coding than he is by being dismissed by Phil Jackson as somebody who just hangs on to LeBron James. I think that's actually the part that he's objecting to.
I think you're right, because the negative connotation of posse is that you're just a bunch of sycophants.
Right.
You're just a bunch of hangers-on who are sort of leeching off the mothership.
But that's what they are. I mean, let's be honest. That's what those guys are.
That's not what they are.
No, Dan, if someone, I understand.
That's not what they are. They're his power team. That's not what they are.
I understand why Maverick would be offended. If someone said LeBatard and his posse, I would understand that. Okay? I would be upset, and I would understand. And so now I kind of understand why Maverick would be upset when he hears, hey, LeBron and his posse.
But that's not what they are. By virtue of LeBron being who LeBron is, the Cavs are his posse. Everybody's LeBron's posse. Like, by that standard of LeBron's the power broker and anyone in his group isn't going to have as much power.
Here's where it gets a little racial. He's not saying Kristaps Porzingis and his posse when he's referring to him and his agent. That's his agent. Rich Paul is a successful agent in the NBA.
And Maverick Carter is his right-hand man who handles just about every business dealing. But let's do something else here. Let me have a different kind of conversation, because many of you get bothered by the racial aspects of this. Cody's reaction to this. At what age do you give someone like my father a pass? Because I give Phil Jackson more of a pass than I would most, because he comes from a different time. And while he should know better, and while he's in that sport, if he says anything, like I happen to know, he's used some language, not horrible language, but just language that seemed like he didn't know, trying to compliment friends of mine.
Right.
Where he says things that are like, oh, that's not how you say that. Mm-hmm. But he just comes from a different time.
I was actually glad to get Greg's perspective on it, because I think Greg refers to it, honestly, I'm not joking here, like an Old West posse.
Uh-huh.
And that might be what's going on with Phil Jackson, and it's just a generational disconnect that might be going on. But I can see how Maverick Carter and LeBron's other associates are offended by it.
I mean, Phil's 71, so.
But at what age, like my father is given a wide berth by young black people when he says stuff, because he just doesn't know. Like, he's not saying anything. He's not saying anything inflammatory. He just doesn't think of racially coded words.
Mm-hmm. But how common is it to think that posse is a racially tinged
when you refer
word?
to it as you can make posse by itself an independent, neutral word. You can make it about a Western posse, and unless you're talking about a Mario Van Peebles movie, it's going to be about white people usually. But in this context, you're referring The way that it's what Mike is saying, that Porzingis doesn't have a posse. Porzingis has friends and family. Porzingis has 10 people around him who wouldn't be referred in this context. The reason that people are using posse is because it's a black guy with hangers on. You'd do the same thing to a boxer, but you'd be less likely to do it to a white boxer.
Is that true? I don't know that that's true. It isn't true for me. If I see you walk into a restaurant with a group of 7 or 8 friends, that to me you're walking in with your posse, and I'm not thinking in terms. It's just
if
to
we
me
walked
that's
in,
any group.
If we walked in as a radio show, you don't think that someone might say, "Hey, there's Le Batard and his posse"?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But the reason that it's racially coded language is because in the NBA it means something else. Mm-hmm. In the NBA, if J.R. Smith is walking in and out of some place with his posse, it means something else than if I'm walking in with my posse. Mm-hmm. Look, man, we could sit here and parse whether people are being too sensitive or not. It's not our affliction.
Sure. No, I agree with that. It's not our job to say, hey, you shouldn't be offended by that. But in the case of the word posse, I think it's pretty mild, don't you? I mean, I don't think it's a real obvious.
Oh, it is pretty mild. It is pretty mild. But I'm never actually hurt by any of these things. I'm never actually made mad by these things. I just want people to listen when someone is objecting to what might be a mild pain instead of simply dismissing that pain, which is the reflex when it comes to Maverick Carter. Shut up and collect your money from LeBron. Quit being hurt over silly things. But he's trying to get into the game with Phil Jackson, and Phil Jackson, there's something condescending about that if you're Maverick Carter. Mm-hmm. That he's trying to get in the game with Phil Jackson. They're power brokers in that sport. They're next, because Lord knows Phil Jackson's at the end and not doing very well at the end.
I think it's Maverick being more upset. It's Phil not, saying him by name. And I think that's probably more upsetting. I think you hit on it earlier. I think that's the thing. Like, hey, I'm Maverick Carter. I'm no longer part of a posse. I'm not part of an entourage. I am Maverick Carter. I've established myself. I am Rich Paul, and I'm an NBA agent. I've established myself. I think that's what's probably at play.
But it is generational as well. If you're a 71-year-old man, you grew up associating the word posse with Westerns, with Westerns on TV, where the posse was what the sheriff gathered together to go find the bad guys. I mean, it was just the group that was gathered to do that, and that's what a posse is to me, and to Phil Jackson.
This is Larry Culpepper, inventor of the college football playoff. Goes without saying that I know about a good idea or two when it comes to college football. And the best idea out there is to subscribe to the Championship Drive podcast in the Listen tab of your ESPN app.
Don Le Batard.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to the Miami Heat. I'm going to set up a 3-point contest against Justice Winslow for Stugotz and a free throw contest against Hassan Whiteside for Greg.
Whoa. I imagine you do it underhanded, right?
No.
No?
God.
Granny style.
No. I'm silky, man.
Stugotz.
If 5 NBA guys, if their only job was to keep us from scoring, I don't think we would score in an NBA game.
Oh, I think we'd luck into a basket, and we'd certainly get it past half court. No question.
I think you vastly underestimate what you're watching.
You haven't seen my handle.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
He just doesn't know he's on the radio.
It's amazing.
Like,
man.
he's dancing around, not near the microphone. You're laughing just enough so that people can't pick it up. It's just
enjoying myself.
It's strange that
I think it infuriates you, and I know why. I understand why
it doesn't.
It makes me happy, man.
It doesn't infuriate me. I'm bemused by it, and it usually produces content. But I am hugely befuddled by it. Is what it is. I'm just perpetually confused by him forgetting for 4 hours that he's doing a radio show.
Well, the show hadn't begun yet. I was in my zone.
Once the music starts, we're on the air. This is how it happens that you start cursing on the air without knowing it. That's why that's happened a number of times. So the texters are hammering me. Get off it already. Leba Fatty, hashtag straw man. You're making everything worse. The texters are really having at it here. Keep up the PC bleep. keep crying racism where there is none, and eventually no one will care or listen because you listen so much when I cry racism and there is some. But let's backtrack for a second here. This is what I don't understand. I'm not saying anyone is racist. Again, I do this all the time, and it's hugely confusing to me. Let's just have the conversation this way. Here's something that's being discussed. Phil Jackson called LeBron's group of people around him a posse. Maverick Carter, a member of that quote-unquote posse, objected to the language. I'm telling you that that's a little bit racially coded. Greg Cote is telling you, I didn't know that. Why in other instances, if I tell you, hey, you're using the word irregardless isn't a word, your response would be to be like, didn't know that. We'll stop using it. In this instance, you want to fight me. And it's like, I'm not sitting here upset by it. It is totally benign. We could sit here and parse the semantics of is posse racially loaded or is it not? But if some black people are objecting and saying, hey, that doesn't feel very good, why wouldn't you just stop?
Right. Agreed. I'm not arguing that point.
But but what I'm saying is the audience is, oh, stop being so sensitive. I can't say anything. And I'm not attacking you.
Because I'll tell you why. I think you hit on it again in the first segment where I don't think it's about the word posse. I think it's about Maverick Carter wanting to be referred to as LeBron's business
but that's
manager.
Fine. But what I'm telling you is, in this instance, that might be so. And what I'm telling you is it's racially coded language. Be careful with it. And the response is, no, I won't be. Let me hold on to it. Okay. And if I told you once upon a time, don't use gorillas, you'd be like, what does it mean? It's just an animal.
Right.
But then it's just, why would you not listen when a portion of people, whoever they are telling you, hey, be a little careful with that. And then it becomes a power thing. Don't tell me what to be careful with.
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right, fine. But I'm saying it's no different than if you're using a word incorrectly and someone corrects you on the pronunciation. You should be like, all right, I'll take that under advisement. I didn't know that. Cody's response, Cody's response is, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
His response after that wasn't, this is BS. Don't tell me what to say.
Right.
You're too politically correct. It was just like, oh, okay, wasn't aware of that. Mm-hmm. Now I'm aware of it. Now make your own decisions after that.
Sure.
Yep.
And during the break, I asked Roy what he thought about the use of that word in a racial context, and he was uncomfortable with it, and that's good enough for me. Why would I use it?
No, but that's the thing. We don't care often about the discomfort of people who aren't like us, and it's kind of the objection that you're feeling all around you now. It's like, why would you not care about my discomfort? Why wouldn't you?
Right, it's odd. And you should. Is entourage any better? Is that word any better?
It's in the same vein. If you use it with black people, you're minimizing whatever, man. Look, I don't want to get hung up in how offensive or parsing the offense of this. I mean, we could do it even with the N-word. We'll get into huge arguments about if it ends with an A. Should black people use it too? I'm not interested in any of that. Just register the objection and do with that objection what you will.
Mm-hmm. But there are gradations in degrees in this argument. If we're talking about the N-word, that is so inflammatory.
I know, but once
hardly
upon a
anybody
time
would
it
disagree.
wasn't. No, but once upon a time it wasn't.
Okay.
Once upon a time that word was used, and it was like, okay, that's part of the lexicon.
Sure.
And even now with young people and young minorities, it's a word that doesn't have. No, you're saying that that's universally offensive. It's not universally offensive.
Okay, but relative to the word posse, it is. What I'm saying is some words are obviously offensive, and some words not so much. And in my opinion, I can honestly say I think to be offended by the word posse for me is a little bit questionable.
But here's the thing, though, Greg. There is no word for white people that is offensive. Even cracker and even in redneck. There's no word for white people that's instructive. Mm-hmm. That there are words for all the other races that are offensive.
But I don't associate the word posse with a racial tone. I associate it with an Old West movie and a sheriff trying to gather some people to go fight the bad guys. So that's my perspective. That's the lens I see the word through.
I associate it with the Redskins wide receiver core back in the 80s.
Which one of you farted?
What? What kind of accusation is that?
Seriously.
It was Stugotz.
It was not me. I swear it was not me.
Somebody come in here. One of you guys come in here. Yes.
Wasn't me, man.
This is in the job description.
No, I know.
Give me a raise,
You can
man.
call human resources afterward. Roy, come in here. I know this is a smell my finger situation. Oh, Mike is trudging in here. Just,
But how's he going to know by walking in here? Like he knows our brand?
no, he's going to know
I
whether
think I'd
someone did
recognize
or
the
not.
brand.
That the fact.
Oh, no, I don't question that someone did. I'm just telling you it wasn't me.
It wasn't me, I'll tell you that.
Someone's drinking loads of coffee
Yeah.
across the table
Yeah,
from me.
You know the old expression when I was a kid?
He who smelt it, dealt it.
Him who smelt it, dealt it.
Yeah, I
That's
helped
right.
you out there, buddy.
I don't smell it.
There you go.
I don't smell it.
If you can't hear, Mike said he cannot smell
Mike was
it.
holding his breath when he came in here.
Maybe I was on Stugotz's side of the room. Maybe if I gravitate over to.
Go ahead. It's going over
Go
to
ahead.
Greg's side of the
Welcome.
room.
Hey,
Welcome.
welcome to my zone, man. I got nothing going on. I'll swear on my mother's life.
No,
Okay.
no.
Very good.
By the way, did you know that I'm a fartologist? I'm a fart expert. No, I am. I can tell you facts about farts that are totally, for example, the average person breaks wind 14 times a day. The miles per hour of the gas exiting the body is 7 miles per hour on average. Women fart in a way that's more odorous than men because their farts contain more, I believe it's sulfur.
Shockiller!
You can look all that up.
I think he's right. A typical fart is composed of about 59% nitrogen, 21% hydrogen, 9% carbon dioxide, 7% methane, and 4% oxygen. But you're right about female farts. More sulfur.
I ain't lying.
Got it right here. Fart facts.
Yep.
I wish that Stugotz had done that off the top of his head, those percentages.
Hey, basketball fans, I'm Cassidy Hubbard. On the latest NBA Lockdown podcast, me and Amin El Hassan, along with producer Josh, discuss, is James Harden the real MVP this season? Are you a believer in him? Download the podcast.
Don LeBatard.
This is what I get. LeBron, misspelled. LeBron, genius, ROFLMAO. So this guy's rolling on the floor while his ass falls off from laughter.
That's got to hurt.
Stugotz.
You actually think LeBron is a genius? Do you know what a genius is? It's not being born genetically gifted with height, speed, and strength. It actually has nothing to do with those things. Now, this guy thinks he's coming and explaining something to me.
Well, of course he does.
This assless guy is getting off of the ground to explain to me what a genius is.
This is the Don LeBatard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
Guillermo, can you put this on the poll? Because I want to talk about some things that Pat Riley had to say and Phil Jackson had to say about Pat Riley. I'm guessing that Pat Riley might respond back to what Phil Jackson had to say because Pat Riley's had a little bit more success than Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson really looks like a doddering old man in New York. And Phil Jackson said Pat Riley has lost a little bit of his vibe.
Mm-hmm. Has he had more success, Pat Riley?
I mean, he's had more success as an executive.
Oh, definitely, yes.
So, Guillermo, put this on the poll, though, please. Do you like when Dan talks race? The reason I bring it up is because I think we might be surprised by the results of that poll. Because the objections are so loud from the vocal minority and so consistent from the vocal minority that I think we might have some skewing on this. And the reason I bring it up is only because I really trust my governor on what's interesting. It's what a sports columnist or a columnist of any sort, if you're any good, it's what you're good at. Mm-hmm. Knowing what's interesting to others, not what's interesting to you, what's interesting to others. And because I trust that governor, I'm consistently surprised by the volume on people when I talk race. So I just want to put it out there because your initial response would be to think that that's going to come back overwhelmingly against me, right?
Correct.
So let's see. I'd be curious because if it comes back the other way, if it comes back overwhelmingly against me, it will be one of the few times where I'm trusting my governor on something that it stimulates my curiosity and I think is interesting, and it doesn't end up being something that is interesting to the audience. Whether you like it or not, or whether you're comfortable with it or not, is something different. Whether it's the reason or one of the reasons that you listen to the show, I happen to think it is. But we'll see. We'll see how this comes back.
Okay.
Did you guys see the quotes from Pat Riley to David Aldridge?
Yeah, I saw some of them here.
Did you take a money quote from it?
The one with Whiteside is the one that kind of stuck out for me, where he says, I sort of break him down. Are you an all-the-time guy? Are you a some-of-the-time guy? You're a none-of-the-time guy. We expect Hassan somewhere will be an all-the-time guy. And like every great center that I've coached, had the ability and was fortunate enough to coach, they had 20 games a year where they were none-of-the-time guys. That's what stuck out for me, because it's almost like he's making an excuse for Hassan, like he's making the excuse in advance for the 20 bad games that Whiteside's going to have, which is odd because he signed him to a max deal, and he should be great every night. He should be an all-the-time guy. That's probably not interesting to you, but it was to me.
Well, no, the thing that I find funny, I'm more marveling how that was the article that you were given. There were many things highlighted in it. That was the first thing that was highlighted. And
to be fair, it was the second.
You didn't read anything other than the first thing that was highlighted from that article. Because I'm going to read something to you right now, and you tell me whether it's more interesting than what you said or not. Are you ready? Because I'm guessing you haven't heard this one.
Okay, go ahead.
If we ever had to do it again when LeBron left in 2014, we should have given Chris the max and Dwayne the max. And that was it. Instead of trying to say to Dwayne, I want to get another guy for you, but you have to sacrifice, and that was wrong. We should have given him that then. Now, that's a big second guess, but that's on me. If I could push back, and I could have pushed back, but I didn't. I said we need to get more talent for him, but somebody was going to sacrifice. Like I said before, it doesn't matter what happens to you. It's how you deal with it, and we're dealing with it. He's dealing with it.
That was the last highlighted quote, last page. You're right, I didn't get to it, and that is infinitely more interesting than what I just said. But I'm kind of moving forward with this Heat team. I'm tired of discussing what happened in the past. I am moving forward.
Tremendous pivot there.
Thank you.
You are trying to move away from what just happened.
Oh, man, let him do it. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so tired of Phil Jackson and Pat Riley and everyone, and LeBron James and Rich Paul and Maverick Carter and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade harping on the past. We're moving forward as an organization here. I watched a team last night that was gritty, that gave a ton of effort, that pushed the Spurs late into the fourth quarter on the Spurs home court, and I'm focused on those guys. I'm focused on Winslow's inability to shoot, what Tyler Johnson can give you off the bench. I'm focused on Babbitt. That's what I'm focused on.
You had me until Babbitt.
Yeah.
He didn't have me anywhere.
Williams got a start last night. I mean, I am worried, and Deion Waiters. D-Wait. I tell you, this guy in the fourth quarter last night, Wake County, it was amazing. He was amazing. I mean, he almost carried that team to victory, 94-90 at San Antonio. It should count as a win for the Heat.
Wow. I mean, your enthusiasm, it's almost as if they haven't lost 5 in a row.
Looking forward, Greg.
I'm going to read this again to you guys because there was one sentence in there that we glossed over. You ready?
Yep.
If we ever had to do it again when LeBron left, we should have given Chris the max and Dwayne the max, and that was it. Instead of trying to say to Dwayne, I want to get another guy for you, but you have to sacrifice, and that was wrong. We should have given him that then. Now, that's a big second guess, but that's on me. That by itself is an articulation of regret that we have not heard from Pat Riley. But this next sentence, if I could have pushed that, and I could have pushed that. Push that on whom?
I would think he meant on Arison, right?
But why? If I could have pushed that. Like he's saying it's on him, and I'm parsing words here. But how much? If I could have pushed that. Does that not suggest to you guys that he wasn't in totally on that decision?
Well, hold on. He says, if I could have pushed that, and I could have pushed that. That sounds to me like I could have pushed that if I wanted to.
No, but that sounds to me like someone who's correcting his initial thought. If I could have pushed that, and then realizing,
tripped up a little bit,
and I could have pushed that. Like, of course he could have pushed that. It's Pat Riley. Like, it sounded to me like somebody. And again, I'm parsing words here.
It's interesting that you had to take that it was Harrison because that's who ultimately is his boss. I actually took that as maybe pushing Wade a little bit more on that instead of because he mentions him. I should have not told him directly to sacrifice. Maybe I should have pushed on him. Let's take this.
Well, the way the Harrisons run this business is, and it's an interesting way to run the business given how powerful they are and that they give their power to others, is on these things, it's a 5-man vote. And the 5 voices have equal weight, which is an unusual way for ownership to do it.
Right.
It's Riley, it's Mickey, it's Nick, it's Ellisberg, it's Spoelstra. That's an unusual way to do it. That is a pretty democratic way of doing it when you can be a dictator. And I think one of the things that gets lost because people think that Pat Riley is the boss is, and I don't know this to be so, what I'm talking about here is that it can come down 4-1 against Riley. And I don't think people think in those terms.
I don't.
When they think of this organization.
Right.
I'm surprised Spo is the 5th guy. I would have thought it was Ron Katz.
Yeah.
Ron Katz thinks it should be Ron Katz.
Ron Katz thinks it should only be Ron Katz.
Ron Katz thinks it should be a vote of 1. His.
I'm surprised to hear that. I just figured it was all, what Riley wanted, Riley got, and that was it.
I mean, but the guy above him is a billionaire, and Riley ultimately answers to his son.
But I suspect Riley has influence beyond his 20% piece of the pie, right? I mean, I imagine that Riley can influence Andy Ellisberg and Spo in a way that perhaps he can't influence the Harrisons. Is that not right?
I don't know if that's so or not. I don't know if that's true what you're saying there. Because Ellisberg has his own strong opinions, and while he's tight with Riley and they go all over the world to Bruce Springsteen concerts together, I don't think of Ellisberg as a yes man. Mm-hmm. Like, Ellisberg will tell you what it is he thinks, and Spo certainly will. Like, Spo will absolutely butt heads with Riley in disagreement. I just think it's an interesting way to run your organization. For example, when the decision has to come down on Tyler Johnson and whether or not they're going to offer him the same amount of money, or actually they're not going to offer him the same because Sacramento offered Tyler Johnson, I think, $10 million more than the Heat did. Mm-hmm. That is not something that Harrison would say absolutely yes or no to. That's not something that Pat Riley would say absolutely yes or no to. They take a vote.
How great would it be if they revealed that vote and all of a sudden the press release said, by a contentious 3-2 vote, the Heat has agreed to give Tyler Johnson all this money.
I'd like that. Be awesome. I mean, the other 4 should vote, right? Then Riley has the 5th vote. That's kind of the way it should go, right?
Well, if it's a tie.
Yeah, like Riley says, hey, you 4, okay, let's hear what you guys have to say, and then I'll break the tie.
Kind of an odd way to take this. Yeah, like...
I mean, he's the president of basketball operations.
But sometimes he won't even get to vote.
His vote still means the same.
It gets to him. It gets to him.
Yeah, but his vote counts. It's weighted. It's a weighted system, I have.
Do you know how 5 votes work?
Yeah, but Riley's vote should count more.
It's
than
a weighted system that didn't read any of the article that was put in front of him with all these things highlighted, except for
the
first quote. Yeah. That was amazing, right? That was amazing how that just happened.
Moving forward.
I loved watching him just power through it, because he knew everybody's eyes were on him, and he's like, "Oh no!" I wonder if he thought, "Man, they know that I didn't read this. They know I didn't read this."
This is what I loved about that. Are you ready?
Can't wait.
I sort of break them down. Are you an all the time guy? Are you a some of the time guy? You are none of the time guy. We expect Hassan somewhere. We will be an all-of-the-time guy. And like every great center that I've coached and had the ability and was fortunate enough to coach, they had 20 games a year when they were none-of-the-time guys. You have to live with that.
That's what stuck out to me.
It's interesting. It is. Guy's making $100 million, an all-the-time guy.
The reason I read it like that is because usually when Stugotz is singing stuff, it's the first time he's read it. So I don't think he actually even read it before. Like he
had no idea how long that paragraph he was going to read.
Chris Cote could have put in there, if Chris Cote had a simmering hatred towards Stugotz and was trying to get him fired, Chris Cote could have put a bunch of racial slurs in there, and Stugotz would have just read right through them, because when he starts with his singing is when the place that I identified that Stugotz was faking it is when I heard the singing start, which is always an indication that Stugotz is reading something for the first time.
He'd still be reading if the entire rest of the article were highlighted.
Stugotz has two tells. One of them is that, and the other is scratching his armpit. He was doing both of them, reaching across his body and scratching his left armpit, like reaching in there with discomfort, as if the discomfort is in the left armpit.
I was doing both at once?
Yes, you were doing it was none of the time guy, all of the time guy, just praying that there wasn't a racial slur in there.
Louisville heads to Houston to face a dangerous Cougar team on Thursday night.
47 yards right up the middle.
Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on ESPN and on ESPN Radio. Presented by Dr. Pepper.